Most buyers start shopping before they know what they can really afford, and that can lead to disappointment. Let's break down the true cost of a monthly payment so you shop with confidence, knowing you can buy the house. So, what's in a monthly payment? Okay, so you have your principal, your interest. But what others don't realize is you have taxes and you have homeowners insurance. And in some cases, you can have PMI. Now, PMI is where it's insurance for the lender in the event, and we're not saying that's going to happen, in the event of a foreclosure, they will get paid what the difference is so they don't lose any money. Okay, so if you're not putting 20% down or more, you're going to have PMI on your monthly payment every single month. Your principal, that is the amount that goes towards your loan. So if you have a principal of $1,000, that's what your mortgage is going to go down each month. Interest. This is how the lender makes their money. The interest rate that you agree to with your lender, that's tacked on. Now, a lot of times the bulk of the interest, you're going to pay more at the beginning of the loan. And then as time goes on, more money goes towards the principal, less goes towards the interest. So if in the future, if you're able to pay extra on your mortgage each month, that's more money that's going to go towards your principal and help to reduce the interest rate as well. I mentioned taxes. Okay, so your local government is going to have taxes on your home that you'll pay. And if you have a mortgage, usually you can escrow your taxes and your homeowner's insurance, and that's best because then the lender is paying them for you, and you don't have to worry about it. They're going to take care of it. So when the bill comes in, you'll see the bill from your taxes, from your homeowner's insurance, and that goes to the lender, and they pay it on your behalf. So every house is going to be different that you look at. Some houses, the taxes could be less or more. It really depends on how long the current homeowner has been in that house and what they're paying. So at first you're going to be paying what they are until you establish your homestead. Now this can get complicated and it varies a lot. So your agent is going to go over this with you with every single house so you know how much taxes. Homeowners insurance can vary depending on the house and how old it is. The newer the house, the less it's going to be. The older the house, it's more it's going to be. And there's also inspections that they require too that goes over things like, your roof, HVAC, electric, things like that, your plumbing. And that's a whole other animals that we'll talk about at a later date. So just know that as far as your monthly payment, it's not just the principal and interest. You will have PMI if you're putting down less than 20%. You're going to have your insurance, your homeowner's insurance, and your taxes. Okay, so number 2 is related to unexpected expenses. When you buy a house, obviously, and this is for renting too, you're going to have utilities, your electric, your water. Sometimes if you buy a newer house in neighborhoods that have gas, you'll have natural gas, that you'll have that bill as well. That's not in every neighborhood, but they are popping up more. If you buy an older house, you have to understand that things break down, and sometimes they break down right after closing. So personally, the second house that I bought, we closed, we moved in, and I don't know, maybe a week or so after we moved in, the AC stopped working. And you don't want the AC to stop working in Florida. No. So it ended up being a compressor. I think it was like $1,000, $1,500 to replace. That is what could happen. Even after buying it and you had inspections done, because sometimes inspections won't show what is actually wrong with something, and it may go bad and you didn't know because there was no signs. So it's really good to try to have some cushion. Have an emergency fund that is for your house, not necessarily projects, but for expenses. You know, hot water heater is another one that can go bad or can leak. Anything, you know, your AC, plumbing, you want to have a cushion. So don't forget that. Get in the habit of saving for that. So if you can, save for it ahead of time so that you have your closing costs, your down payment, but you also have a little bit of a cushion just in case something breaks down right as soon as you close. The other thing I want to mention for number 2 is that you don't want to be house poor. So the other thing you need to consider is, what are your hobbies? What is your family like to do? Do you guys like to kayak? Do you like to go on trips? You need to factor that in too, because you don't want this huge house payment to where you have nothing left over to be able to have fun, because that makes life really, it makes life harder. And then you start resenting the house that you bought. So make sure before you go and talk to a lender, because sometimes they'll give you more money than you need. And you don't have to go with that full amount. You can go with a lot less. So, because only you know what you can afford and what you want to do at the end of the month with your extra funds. So don't forget to factor your lifestyle into buying a house as well. Now, number 3 is about HOAs, which is your homeowners associations. They are not with every neighborhood. The older neighborhoods, there are many that do not have HOAs, so you don't have a fee for those. There are some that are voluntary, where you can pay the HOA fee, and usually that's also older neighborhoods where the homeowners take care of maybe like the front, keeping it, you know, nicely landscaped and mowed, things like that. Newer neighborhoods, especially, you know, 10 years or newer, it really gets tough to find a neighborhood that doesn't have an HOA. So when you go to buy, that is another thing that you need to factor in with your monthly price. Even though HOAs for the most part are paid annually, the lender is going to take a look at that amount and divide it by 12, and you will see what it is monthly. That could knock you out of the ballpark too, and not in a good way if it's too high. So make sure you check that out as well. And then there's some communities that have the CDD fees, which are billed in with your taxes. That's another fee that you need to also check out. Usually that's communities that have big and beautiful amenities, or they have a huge neighborhood with smaller neighborhoods inside. And that's not every neighborhood either. There's some in Jacksonville, St. Augustine, St. Johns County, Clay County has some too. That is another factor. That could blow your payment out of the water too if it's too high. So you want to make sure that you check out that if you see a house that you like and you don't want to pay those fees, make sure you have your agent let you know that those fees are included or not included. So when you're buying a home, the price of the home itself is important, but also factor in your monthly expenses. You know, the monthly payment with the homeowners and the taxes. Expect unexpected expenses. You know, things break down all the time, especially with older homes. Factor in your lifestyle. What do you guys do that you do for fun that you want to continue to do even when you buy a house? Because being house poor is no fun at all, and you will resent your house in time. So if you're buying in Jacksonville or Northeast Florida, I'd love to help you figure out your real numbers. And before you start shopping, check out my video on the 5 mistakes first-time buyers make. It'll save you time and stress.